also start recording. And I will see how long it takes to pop up on YouTube. Let's see how that goes in general. Let me hear myself. Takes to pop up on YouTube. Let's see how that goes in general. Let me hear myself. I could probably throw on some noise removal to my audio real quick, just because the fan is noticeable. NVIDIA auto effects, yep, noise removal, and we'll just take it down to like 90. Alright, and now I gotta hear that. One sec. Take me to live, please. Removal, and we'll just take it down to like. Well, now I just hear that weird grindish noise. Well, now I just hear that weird. Oh, that's terrible. That's an awful. I would much sooner just leave the noise than subject everyone to that for like 8 hours. Alright, let me just listen closely to what the actual sound sounds like. Reload this. Yeah, that was awful. Let me hear myself now. Yeah, that was awful. Let me hear myself now. I would totally just prefer to keep the fan noise in the background compared to what that just did. I would totally just prefer to keep. Yep, it's way better. Compared to what that just did. Yep, that's actually somehow way better. Alright, I'm gonna turn that off. I can see my stream. I know that my camera is working, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, camera's still working. Let me double check audio levels. Let's read aloud from here. Read aloud.
Office of the Secretary of Defense.
That's kind of loud to me.
For $20 million for...
Alright. Alright, I think we are officially good. So, I believe I'm recording. I'm good. Talking head. Hi. Welcome back to day 2 of speedrunning Fallout while reading House of Representatives Bill something something, with the short title being Donald Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. We are reading this entire 1,118 page document, which has been converted into a Word file, which above me is being read aloud live for all of us. And I will be listening to it be read aloud while also speedrunning me playing Fallout 4. And it's not actually a speedrun because I'm not actually quick at it. I'm just playing it to give me something to do while I slowly listen through all of this. What is the purpose of this thing that we are doing, of this little challenge, of this practice that we are engaging with? It's mostly just to have fun and to become more informed. And like that's just it. When I heard about this bill, I didn't know very much about it. I checked through the Wikipedia page after I started reading the first 100 and something pages yesterday. And I kind of like to go into it blind, where I just kind of figure out what's it trying to say without any political context. Just reading the bill because I heard and understood quickly that it was a very important thing. Not that I think I agree with anything in this bill so far. It's nothing but warmongering and pandering to farmers, which I guess I'm okay with maybe. But there's also a couple of other reasons that I think I'm reading this. One, I think, just like with Project 2025, just like with a lot of very important Supreme Court cases, I think most journalists and actual politicians don't actually sit down with this stuff and read it word for word. And I definitely don't think most normal people engaged with politics are reading this stuff word for word. And because I put a lot of faith into that kind of due diligence, I think it makes sense for me to put up that kind of fight myself and say, well, I did sit through and go through this. But let's be completely honest. Because I'm playing a game while doing it, I will not pick out every single detail from this, and I will not memorize it. And yet I will still be unbelievably more well-read than some of our actual politicians in the White House and our actual journalists that are making millions of dollars doing their work. So it's a little bit of a shit-eating practice of hey, I actually read it and you fuckers are too lazy to do it, so I'm doing it better. Obviously, that is part of my own reasoning here. But beyond that, it's just to become more informed, to understand the political landscape, to predict the Trump administration's next moves, to understand and report on the severity and seriousness of this bill were it to fully pass. Right now, it has passed the House of Representatives. Next, it has to pass the Senate and then be signed into law. I'm not even counting it being signed into law as a step, because Donald Trump, when this passes, because I do believe it will pass the Senate as well, now that it has passed the House, I am certain it will pass the Senate with a bunch of changes likely. When Trump goes to put this on his desk and sign it, he's going to make it the biggest, most public thing you have ever seen. It is going to be it's going to be like an Egyptian king really trying to hype it up. So I'm not worried about it being signed by the president. All it has to do now is pass the Senate, and it's effectively law, because it will most certainly be passed by the president ASAP. So where are we at? Yesterday I was just trying to get some tech working. It was a scuffed stream. All my streams are scuffed. I'm not a streamer. I'm a person that makes videos mostly. The first 100 pages were farmer. That was it. The first 100 pages were just for farmers. It was all just data on how the government is going to continue bailing out the giant monoculture industrial farmer corporations and businesses that feed our country, technically. It was just 100 pages of how to bail out farmers and what that would look like and all these promises. And because I'm not a farmer, and I'm definitely not a corporate farmer who relies on government subsidies to that degree, I didn't understand a lot of what the numbers were getting at. I just followed that it was very extensive and that it was clearly focused on talking about farmers a lot, though I don't know in practice how much it will actually help them. Then, the last 30 or so pages before I finished up the stream last night was all military. Billions and billions and billions of dollars. Like every page had like $1 billion on it of extra spending for the military. Not spending that we already had in our budget, because our budget is already nearly $1 trillion. It was more spending on top. So that was awful. And it looks like we're not even nearly done. So I'm going to restart the reading, and I'm going to get back to Fallout, and that's going to be the flow. Is I'm going to read, I'm going to be playing, and then that's going to be the day.
Department of Defense. In addition to amounts otherwise available, there are
Back to it.
appropriated to the Secretary of Defense for fiscal year
So last night I also studied up a little bit on how to speedrun Fallout 4. Not how to speedrun it, but just how to play it quickly. This is a quick run, not a speedrun, but
2029. $150 million for business systems replace. Meant to accelerate the audits of the financial state. Meant of the Department of Defense pursuant to Chapter 9A.
I'm just going to go through the normal routes and go get Nick Valentine real quick.
States Code. $200 million for the deployment of auto. Matt Ion and artificial intelligence to accelerate that.
Automation. There's been so many references to putting more artificial intelligence into the military, which is so relevant to the video I did talking about Palantir, the AI company that sells targeting systems to the Israeli government, to the American government, to the state of Israel, to the state that is America.
Budgetary and programmatic infrastructure of the
That just seems a little
Office
too...
of the Secretary of Defense.
Those two things seem a little too connected. The recent rise of Palantir, an
$20
AI
million for
weapons
defense
company,
cybersecurity
and all
probe.
this crap.
Grams of the Defense Advanced Research Projects. Agency. SEC. 20,007. Enhancement of Department of Defense. Resources for air superiority.
I will at some point likely
In addition
speed
to
up the
amounts
reading again, but I
otherwise
kind of have to
available,
warm
there
up to
are
it, and my brain and ears have to get used to it.
Appropriated to the Secretary
which takes some
of
time.
Defense for fiscal year 2025 out of any money in the Treasury not otherwise AP. Appropriated to remain available until September 30th, 2029. 21.1 $3,150 million to increase F-15EX air craft production. 2. $361,220,000 to prevent the retirement of F-22 aircraft. 1. 3. $127,460,000 to prevent the retirement of
Sometimes I think the
F-15E
I think it's weird how they have really specific numbers sometimes.
3. 4.
Like, I wanted to know how they
$50 million
calculated
to
those
accelerate
numbers specifically.
installation of F.
Whereas a lot of the time it seems like just
4.
throw like a round number at stuff and deal with
16
it.
electronic warfare capability. 5. $116 million for CO-17A mobility aircraft. 6. Connectivity. 7. $84 million for KC-135 mobility aircraft. 8. Connectivity. 9. 7. $440 million to increase C-130J product. 10. 11. 8. $474 million to increase
Where did the
EA-37B
legendary
product.
enemy go?
12. 13. 9. $300 million for Air Force Classified Pro. 14. Grams. 15.
Oh, I'm gonna die.
10.
Oh, I died. Okay, that was a little too quick. That
$678
sucks.
million to accelerate the Calabo. 16.
The collaborative combat
Rate of Combat
aircraft program.
17.
Well, we're gonna try that again.
11.
I
$400
need
million
more
to
shotgun shells.
accelerate production
I also
of
really need to improve my shotgun, but I can't for a
18.
while in the game.
the F-47 aircraft. 19. 12. $230 million for Navy Classified Pro. 20. Grams. 21. 13. $500 million accelerate the FA/XX Air. 22.
I wonder if that was a
Craft.
conversion typo or there was actually just a typo in this
23.
document.
14. $100 million for production of advanced. 24. Aerial sensors. 15. $160 million to accelerate V-22 nacelle. Improvement and 16. $100 million to accelerate production of
What the hell's an MQ-25?
25 aircraft. SEC.
I'm actually pretty curious about that. What is an MQ-25?
2008. Enhancement of resources for nuclear forces. DoD appropriation stock in addition to amounts otherwise available, there are appropriated to the SEC. Readery of Defense for fiscal year 2025 out of any money in the Treasury not otherwise appropriated to remain available until September 30th, 2029. 1. $1.5 billion for risk reduction activities for the Sentinel Intercontinental Ballistic Missile Pro. GRAM. 2. $4.5 billion for acceleration of the B-21 long-range bomber aircraft. 3. $500 million for improvements to the MIN. Utaman 3 intercontinental ballistic missile system. 4. $100 million for capability enhancements. 2 intercontinental ballistic missile re-entry vehicles. 5. $148 million for the expansion of D5 MIS. SILE motor production. 6. $400 million to accelerate the development of Trident D5 Le-2 submarine-launched ballistic MIS.
Siles.
7. $2 billion to accelerate the development, procurement, and integration of the nuclear armed sea-launched cruise missile.
Nice.
8. $62 million to convert Ohio-class sub
Ohio-class sub.
marine tubes
Sorry.
to accept additional missiles.
To accelerate the
9.
development. Whoa,
$22
how much for that one?
million to enhance nuclear deterrence through classified programs.
62 million?
10.
To allow something to accept additional
$168 million
missiles.
to accelerate the production of the Survivable Airborne Operations Center program. 11. $65 million to accelerate the Moderniza tie-in of nuclear command, control, and communica tie-ins, and 12. $210,300,000 for the increased production of MH-139 helicopters. B.
What does my character look
NNSA
like? Dumb?
appropriation
Yeah, love
stock,
it.
in addition to amounts otherwise available.
Okay, this is
that
like
are
a little too
appropriated to
important.
them.
So, the whole like edging nuclear war thing is not. Oh my god, it's not reactionary. It's not alarmist. It's like written out in one page, and it says like right there that we want to get really good at using nukes. And then in Project 2025, and it was something that like I kept talking about, but I kept never hearing anyone else mention, was that the Project 2025 document is riddled with references to starting a violent war with China. Like, yes, it's talking about an economic and a cultural war and you know, a war about projecting power, but it talked about it and framed it in such a way that sounded very much like there was an interest in having a hot, violent war with China. And it was as if the United States was just begging China to give us any reason to start a violent war where we infiltrate and colonize them. And then, you know, just reading pages and pages of like, here's how we're going to get better at deploying nuclear arms more quickly. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I don't know. This is just extremely
of the National
dangerous
Nuclear
and
Security
stupid and
Admonies.
anti-human, and I hate
Creation
all
for
of it.
Fiscal year 2025, out of any money in the Treasury not otherwise appropriated to remain available until September 30th.
Oh, so since I
2029.
played last time,
One,
I
$200 million
I attempted to install a mod that would
Security
fix
Administration
the
phase one
FPS for me.
studies
I remember I
pursuant
had to do it before when I was playing this on my own.
Section 3211 of the National
So hopefully the
Nuclear
physics aren't messed
Security
up, and
Act.
hopefully I'm not running around as quickly. Again, I say
Administration
speedrun
Act,
more as like
50
just a fun challenge. I'm not like trying to
2401.
put this anywhere.
2,
The Grognak costume is inside of this building, and I have to go get it. Like, that's just, there's no discussing. I have to go get the Grognak
National
costume.
Nuclear Security Administration pursuant to Section 3211 of the National Nuclear Security Administration Act.
Oh, am I getting bodied right now? I am getting bodied.
2401. 3, $1 billion
Wow, I just got
to
bodied like that.
accelerate the construct. Tie-in of National Nuclear Security Administration FA.
Okay. I really wish I had more, like,
Facilities
fragmentation
pursuant
grenades
to Section
and such similar
3211
things.
of the National Clear Security Administration Act, 50 U.S.C. 2401. 4, $400 million to accelerate the development, procurement, and integration of the warhead for the nuclear-armed sea-launched cruise missile. Pursuant to Section 3211 of the National Security Administration Act, 50 U.S.C. 2401. 5. $500 million to accelerate primary kappa. Ability modernization pursuant to Section 3211 of the National Nuclear Security Administration Act, 50. USC.
Well, that hurt. Oh man, I'm still not gonna survive, am I?
6. $500 million to accelerate secondary kappa.
Come on, come on, come on,
Ability
get him.
modernization pursuant to Section 3211.
I'm now out of like all my bullets.
National
So
Nuclear
that's not good.
Security Administration Act, 50.
Let me just quick save real quick.
USC 2401 and 7. $100 million to accelerate domestic URA. NIAM Enrichment Centrifuge deployment for defense. Purposes pursuant to Section 3211 of the National Nuclear Security Administration Act, 50
I
USC.
don't think I'm clutching this.
2401.
Oh no, it looks like my physics are still messed up.
SEC.
Look.
20,009. Enhancement of Department of Defense. Resources to
my physics
improve
are still screwy.
capabilities of.
Yeah, look,
United
it
States
just jumped up to
Indo-Pacific
200
Command.
FPS. God damn it.
In addition
Yeah,
to amounts
looks like I never
otherwise
successfully put my
available,
thing in.
there are
Yeah, and I'm still walking too quick.
appropriated to the
I
Secretary
hate that.
of Defense for fiscal year
How is this game such a problem?
2025 out of any money in the Treasury not otherwise AP. Appropriated to remain available until September 30th.
Yeah, I'm running way too quick now. This game,
2029.
tell me.
One,
I understand that this was made like 15 years ago or 10 years ago or something.
Exercises in OPER.
But how does this game still have
Asians
these
in the
issues and they
Western
haven't like
Pacific area
decided to
of
help at all
operations.
to fix it?
2. $53 million for Special Operations COM. Manned exercises and operations in the Western Pacific area of operations. 3. $47 million for Marine Corps exercises and operations in Western Pacific area of operations. 4. $90 million for Air Force exercises and operations in Western
now out
Pacific area of operations.
Pretty much all.
5. $532,600,000 for the Pacific Air Force 5.
Nope, I'm not making it. I'm out. I'm
Annual
dead.
large-scale exercise. 6. $19 million for the development of naval small craft capabilities. 7. $35 million for military additive manufacturing capabilities in the United States Indo-Pacific Command area of operations west of the National Dateline. 8. $450 million for the development of air fields within the area of operations.
Okay, I'm thinking maybe I'm not strong enough for this yet, and I might have to wait to get the Grobnak costume.
9. $1 billion.
I'm thinking that's what I'm gonna do.
For development.
Oh, come on, leave me alone.
Structure within the area of operations of United States Indo-Pacific Command.
Indo-Pacific, like the
10.
Indian Ocean to the Pacific Ocean, so just
for mission
the east.
Networks 4. United
Far East?
States Indo-Pacific Command. 11. $100 million for Air Force regionally based cluster preposition base kits.
All right, I need to just go deal with
12. $25 million
first.
to explore the revitalization of existing Arctic naval infrastructure.
Oh, but this is Swan's Pond, isn't it?
13. $90 million for
I need
the
to find Swan's
development
Pond. Okay, cool. I will come back
of
here
non-kinetic capabilities.
to fight Swan.
14. $20
Okay,
million
yeah,
for
be angry,
military
whatever.
exercises with.
I'm gonna come
Taiwan.
get your item later, Swan.
15. $23 million for anti-submarine sonar AR. Raise. 16.
Well, these are
$30
all places to go back to
million
later to get
for
items.
surveillance, and reconnaissance
All right, Swan, leave me alone.
capabilities for United States AF. RECA Command. 17. $30 million.
I'll tell you, I've
for
done this Swan fight
intelligence,
about 10
surveillance,
times, so
and reconnaissance
Uh-oh.
capabilities for United States. Indo-Pacific
we're good.
Command. 18.
I will come
$400
back for
million
Swan. I need
for
to
the
just make a bunch of money
40.
and just get a
Nation
bunch of
and deployment of economic competition
highly valuable
EF.
items.
Facts within the Department of Defense. 19. $10 million for the expansion of Depart. Ment of Defense workforce for economic competition. 20. $1 billion for offensive cyber oper. Asians. 21. $500 million for the joint training. Team. 22. $300 million for the procurement of mesh. Network communications capabilities for special op. Erations Command Pacific. 23. $850 million for activities to protect United States interests and deter
Get
Chinese
me out of
com.
here.
Munist party aggression through provision of melee. Terry support and assistance to the military, central. Government
Okay, so I just
security
fundamentally do not
forces
have enough
and
items for
central
this entire
government.
fight.
Security agencies of Taiwan.
Alright, let's just see how good I am at
$200
punching.
million for acceleration of Guam. Defense
Not very
System
good.
Program. 25. $4,029 million for classified military. Space superiority programs.
I'm very good at punching.
26. $68 million for Space Force facilities improvements. 27. $100 million
Submachine
for
gun.
ground
Good.
moving target. Indicator military satellites and
Oh, I got killed.
5.
Okay,
28.
so I should probably leave and
$528
come back
million
with some
for
items.
DRC and Silent Barker military space
Yeah,
situational
I'll leave
aware.
and then come back. Oh no, the
NES
game's physics are
programs.
still messed up. I
SEC.
don't know what to do with the fact that my FPS gets so high.
2010. Enhancement of Department of Defense.
The hell is a super mutant
Resources
doing
for
here?
improving the ready ness of the armed forces. In addition to amounts otherwise available, there are appropriated to the Secretary of Defense for fiscal year 2025 out of any money in the Treasury not otherwise AP. Appropriated to remain available
Still
until
enemies?
September 30th,
This sucks.
2029. $1,400 million for a pilot program on OPN 8 maritime spares and repair rotable pool.
Still too many enemies? What am I supposed to
$700
do?
million for a pilot program on OPN. 8 maritime spares and repair rotable
Great,
pool
good
for
stuff.
amphibious ships. 3. $2,118 million for readiness packages.
Oh, that took
to
forever. Okay. Well, I'll just
keep
have to
Air
come back.
Force aircraft mission capable. 4. $1,500 million for Army Depot Moderniza. Tie-in and capacity enhancement. 5. $2 billion for Navy Depot and ship. Yard modernization and capacity enhancement. 6. $250 million for Air Force Depot mod. Earnization and capacity enhancement. 7. $1,391 million for the enhancement of Special Operations Command Equipment and READY. NES. 8. $500 million for National Guard Unit. Readiness. 9. $400 million for Marine Corps Readiness and Capabilities. 10. $20 million for upgrades to Marine Corps. Utility helicopters. 11. $310 million for next generation vertical lift, assault, and intratheater aeromedical evacu. Asian aircraft. 12. $75 million for the procurement of anti-lock braking systems for Army Wheeled Transport VA vehicles. 13. $230 million for the procurement of Army Wheeled Combat Vehicles. 14. $63 million for the development of advanced rotary wing engines. 15. $241 million for the development,
No 10mm rounds? What a
procurement
weird
and integration of
thing.
Marine Corps amphib
Okay.
ES
Well,
vehicles.
go to the shooting guy.
16. $250 million for the procurement of Army tracked
Okay, I
combat
saw
transport
somewhere,
vehicles
and like
and
I wouldn't be the type to do the calculation,
17,
but apparently it's $150 billion.
$98 for the
That's the
enhancement of
total
Army
amount in this whole thing. Is
light rotary wing capabilities.
it's $150 billion
SEC,
more to the military than before, which is like,
2011.
I mean, if we were already at $1 trillion,
Improving
essentially, that's like
Department of Defense
15%.
Corps.
I think because we're actually only at
Their
like 800
support
and something
and
billion,
counter-drug
maybe
menace.
900 billion, that's more like 20%
In addition to
increase in our
amounts otherwise
entire military
available,
budget,
there are
which 20% is still like
appropriated to the Secretary of Defense
20% of the
for
military
fiscal
budget
year
is enough to like feed everyone in America forever.
2025 out of any money in the Treasury not otherwise AP. Appropriated to remain available until September 30th, 2029. $5 billion for activities in support of border operations, including deployment of military personnel, operations in maintenance, counter-narcotics, and counter transnational criminal
what am I doing now? How much do I have in
mission
terms of
support,
ammo?
the operation
85 of
and
those,
construction
28
in
of those. I
national
still don't think
defense
it's going to be
areas.
enough, really. Maybe Arturo
The
has a better
temporary
shotgun.
detention of migrants on Department of Defense installations and the repatriation of persons in support of law enforcement activities pursuant to sections 272, 277, 284, and 2672 of Title 10, United States Code. SEC 20,012. Enhancement of military intelligence programs. In addition to amounts otherwise available, there are appropriated
way
to
more
the
money in this
Secretary
game.
of Defense for fiscal year 2025 out of any money in the Treasury not otherwise AP. Appropriated to remain available
I
until
physically do not have
September
that much
30th,
stuff on me.
2029. $2 billion for the enhancement of military
Fusion cores
intel.
aren't worth selling.
Legends programs.
I'll just get back that sniper
SEC.
rifle.
2013. Department of Defense Oversight. A. Office of the Secretary of Defense. In addition to amounts otherwise available, there is appropriated to the Inspector General of the Department of Defense for
Guess I'll sell
fiscal
these
year
back.
2025 out of any money in the trees. Yuri not otherwise appropriated $10 million to remain available through September 30th,
All right,
2029
let's see if I can make this
to
happen
carry out
again.
this. Section B. Oversight of programs. The Inspector
One
Gen.
sec. 10 million available September 2029. It's all
Arrow
just
shall
billions
monitor
and billions of
Department
dollars to the
Defense
military.
activities for which funding is appropriated in
Crawl
this
out
title,
through the
including
fallout, baby.
1.
when you see that
programs
drum.
with mutual
Crawl
technological
out through the
depend
fallout, baby.
in Cs.
Like an atom bomb.
2. Programs with related data management and data ownership considerations. 3. Programs particularly vulnerable to supply chain disruptions and long lead time components. And 4. Programs involving classified matters. See classified matters to not later than 30 days. After the date of the enactment
Oh, that
of this
hurt.
title,
I
the
immediately
chairs
messed it up because of that cup. Are you
of
kidding
the
me?
Committees on Armed Services
That's
of the
so
Senate
stupid.
and House of Representatives
Game's
shall
so fucking
jointly
ridiculous
transmit
sometimes.
to the Department of Defense a classified memorandum regarding amounts made available in this title related to classified matters. SEC 20,014. Military Construction Projects Author. Ized. A. Authorization of appropriations. Funds are hereby authorized to be appropriated for military construction, land acquisition, and military family housing. Functions of each military department as defined in SEC. Tie-in
Who's getting me? Someone's getting
101A
me.
of Title 10, United States Code, as specified in this title. B. Spending plan. Not later than 30 days after the date of the enactment of this title, the Secretary of each military department shall submit to the Congressional Defense Committees
Oh man,
as
the messed up
defined in
physics are
Section
not helping me.
101A of
If
Title
anything, they're causing me trouble.
10, United States Code, a detailed spending plan by project for all funds made available by this title to be expended on military construction projects. SEC 20,015. Plan required. A. In general.
Cool.
Not later
Alright,
than
I need to loot the
45
crap out of
days
this
after
place
the
and find ammo and
date
other
of the
valuable
enactment
things.
of this title, the Secretary of Defense shall submit to the committees on armed
I
services
doubt I can hack this.
of the Senate and the House of Representatives a spend. ING,
Oh.
expenditure, or operating plan for amounts made available pursuant to this title. Such plan shall include the same level of detail as required
Yeah,
for the
this
report
physics
submitted.
issue is not fun. It's making me
Under
walk too
Section
fast. It's making
8007 of
lots of
Division
trouble
A
for
of
me.
the Further Consoli. Dated Appropriations Act, 2024, Public Law 118 to 47, 138,
Start.
can't pick that.
482.
I'm pretty sure
B.
lockpicking
Expenditure
requires
report.
more
Not
intelligence,
later
doesn't it?
than 1 year after the
No?
date of enactment
Maybe
of this
lockpicking is
title,
dexterity,
and annually.
which would be probably agility, I
Thereafter,
imagine.
the Secretary shall submit to the committees on armed services of the Senate and the House of Rep. Presented of a report that includes a description of any expenditures made pursuant to the plan required under Section A.
Hacker,
SEC,
serious stranger, action boy scrapper.
20,016. Limitation on availability of funds.
I must
The
have missed
funds
it. It
made
must have been too
available
high up.
under this title may not be used to enter into any agreement under which any payment of such funds
Am I
could be
tripping? Where
outlaid
the
or
hell is-
dispersed after September
What the hell's
23rd,
lockpick?
30, 2034.
Sneak? Gun nut?
Title 3, Committee on
Hacker?
Education and Workforce. Subtitle A, Student Eligibility.
I literally do not see
SEC.
lockpicking anywhere. Am I going crazy?
30,001. Student eligibility. A. In general. Section 484
Locksmith.
A5 of
I would
the
need
Higher
more perception. I only have 2.
Education Act
Okay.
of 1965, 20
I
U.S.C.
guess I'll just deal
1091.
with- just getting more items would be nice, though.
To read as follows. 85B.
I'm gonna quick
A.
save.
A
I'm sure I'll
citizen or
regret it if I
national
don't.
of the United States. B. An alien
Oh
who
yeah,
is
the
lawfully admitted
high
for
frame rate is causing me some genuine
permanent
trouble.
residence under the Immigration and Nationality Act 8
'Cause I'm
U.S.C.
walking way too
1101
quickly.
ET. C. An alien
God
who
damn it! No matter what I do, I can never throw that
I
correctly.
is a citizen or national of the RE.
Wow. Well, it's a
Public
good
of
thing I just quick
Cuba.
saved, huh?
2. Is the beneficiary of an approved petition under Section 203A of the Immigration and Nationality Act 8 U.S.C. 1153A. 3. Meets all eligibility requirements for an immigrant visa, but for whom such a visa is not immediately available. 4. Is not otherwise inadmissible under Section 212A of such Act 8 U.S.C. 8 U.S.C. 1182A and V is physically present in the United States pursuant to a grant of PA. Role in furtherance of the commitment of the United States to the minimum level of
Okay.
annual legal migration of
Nice.
Cuban nationals to the United States specified in the U.S. Cuba joint communique on migration. Done at New York, September 9, 1994, and reaffirmed in the Cuba United States. Joint statement on normalization of migration, building on the agreement of 15th
I don't remember what
September 9,
Minix does.
1994, done at New York.
Sounds safe though.
16th May 2nd, 1995. D. An alien described in Section 401A of the additional Ukraine supplemental APRA.
Oh, I got
Creations
it.
Act 2022.
This is gonna be
Public
hard.
Law 117 to 128 8. USC 1101 note. E. An alien described in Section 2502A of the Afghanistan Supplemental Appropria. Tie-ins Act 2022, Division C of Public Law 117. 43, 8 USC 1101 note, or F. An individual who lawfully resides in the United States in accordance with a COM. Pact of Free Association referred to in Section 402(b)(2)(g) of the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act of 1996. 8 USC 1612, (b)(2)(g) and B. Effective date and application. The amendment made by subsection A shall take effect on July 9th, 1st, 2025, and shall apply with respect to award year 2025 to 2026 and each subsequent
Bullshit, they move
award
faster
year
too.
as deterred. Mined under the Higher Education Act of 1965. SEC 30,002. Amount of need, cost of attendance, NE. Dien cost of college. Amount of need. Section 471 of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 USC 1087 KK, is amended by amending paragraph 1 to read as follows. 1A. For award year 2025 to 2026, the cost of attendance of such student, or B. For award year 2026 to 2027 and each sub sequent award year, the median cost of college of the program of study of such student minus B. Cost of attendance of a
Let me
program
in.
of
Okay.
study. 1. Determination of cost of attendance of a program of study.
Lock's really strong.
A. In general. Section 472 A of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 USC 1087 LL. A
Don't know why I can
is
just sleep while
amended.
there are enemies around, but whatever.
1. In paragraph
Probably
1,
spam that
by
now that I know
striking
about it.
car. Reading the same academic workload and in inserting enrolled in the same program of study. 2. In paragraph 2, by striking same course of study and inserting same program of study, and 3. In paragraph 14, by striking program and inserting program of study. B. Effective date. The amendments made by subparagraph A shall take effect on 16th July 1st, 2026, and shall apply with respect to award year 2026 to 2027
I
and
cannot
each
believe I'm still
subsequent
alive at all.
award year as determined under the Higher Education Act of 1965. 2. Disclosure. Section 472C of the High or Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1087 LLC.
Okie doke. We have now officially started the section on public education, I believe. Alright, so this is the Committee on Education and Workforce, beginning first with student eligibility. The issue is I do really want to read through this manually. So, an alien who is lawfully admitted permanent residence, an alien who is a citizen, Cuba. Effective date. Oh, they're actually modifying the Higher Education Act. The median cost of college program study minus the cost of attendance, determination of cost of attendance. By inserting each program of study, determination median cost of college. So how the median cost of college is used to respect is means the medium of the cost of attendance of the program of study is determined by the section. Program of study is defined. Eligible program at a higher institution has to follow the certain codes, so hopefully they can. They're planned to some degree. While you're still reading this, yes, sorry, I just saw that, Nix. Yes, I am still reading this, and I will be until it's done. It's going to take forever. Credential level. Graduate credential includes credentials as a master's degree, certain assets. Loan limits. How about I restart here at loan limits? That did not work. Okay.
Subtitle B. Loan
Back
limits.
to the game.
SEC 30,011. Loan limits. A. Terminations of and restrictions on loan. Authority. 1. Termination of authority to
Wow,
make.
my FPS is actually too high.
Subsidized loans to undergraduate stu. Dense. Section 455, A3 of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1087E, A3 is amended by adding at the end the following. C. Termination of authority
I'm
to
so lost.
make subsidized loans to undergraduate students. Notwithstanding any provision of this part or Part B, except as provided in para. Graph 4, for any period of instruction begin ning on or after July 1st, 2026. An undergraduate student shall not be eligible to receive a federal direct Stafford loan under this part, and 2. The maximum annual amount of federal direct unsubsidized Stafford loans such a student may borrow in any academic year as defined in section 481A2 or its equivalent shall be the maximum annual amount for such student determined under paragraph 5. 2. Termination of authority to make. Federal direct plus loans to any student. Borrower. Section 455A(3) of the Higher Edu. Cat-I Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1087E A(3) is fur. They're amended by adding at the end the following. D. Termination of authority to make federal direct plus loans to any student borrower. Notwithstanding any provision of this part or part B, except as pro. V'd in paragraph 4 for any period of in. Struck Dion beginning on or after July 1st, 2026, A. Graduate student or professional student shall not be eligible to receive a federal direct plus loan under this part. 3. Restriction on authority to make federal direct plus loans to any parent
barter. Oh, interesting. I had a
Lower
parent plus loan.
Section 455A(3) of the Higher Education
Federal direct plus loans.
Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C.
One sec, I'm gonna read this
1087
intently for a sec.
Amended by adding at the end the following. E. Restriction on authority to make federal direct plus loans to any parent borrower. I. In general. Notwithstanding any provision of this part or part B, except as provided in clause 2 and paragraph 4 for any period of instruction beginning on or after July 1st, 2026. A parent on B, half of a dependent student shall not be eligible to receive a federal direct plus loan under this part. 2. Exception. A parent may receive a federal direct plus loan under this part on behalf of a dependent student. Dent in any academic year as defined in Section 481A(2) or its equivalent if I. Such student borrows the maximum annual amount of federal direct unsubsidized Stafford loans.
So it's preventing parents from taking out parent plus loans unless their child has already maxed out every other loan they could possibly take. So it's essentially oh my god, it's essentially fuck you if I have daddy's money, if I'm a rich person and I just have liquid money to give my kid to pay for my child's college, winning for me. But if you are a middle class parent and you want to create generational well-being, you're not allowed to take out a loan on behalf of your kid to allow them to go to college. You're not allowed to take on that risk anymore because your kid has to max out every other alternative before they get to doing that. That is so insane. I think the entire system is complete and utter bullshit. I think all of student loans is complete and total bullshit. But this just fucks over the middle class because it's the middle class families that would take on a loan in lieu of their child in order to let them access a college education. And now they're making it harder for parents to do that.
And 2. Such maximum annual amount is less than the cost of attendance of the program of study of such student. 4. Conforming amendments. Section 455A(3) of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1087A(3).
But oh my god, this is the issue. This is that middle class issue. If you go for direct or indirect subsidized loans, your access to those loans is dependent to some degree on your financial status. So there's still that gap where you're lower middle class, but not low enough to get a bunch of FAFSA support. And so what often would happen is Parent Plus loans would fill in that gap. And now, no. Like, you're not allowed to have a Parent Plus loan unless you jump through 5 other hoops.
Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1087A(3) is further amended. A. In the paragraph heading by striking termination of authority to make in tourist subsidized loans to graduate and professional students and inserting terminations of and restrictions on loan authority. B. In subparagraph A. 1 in the heading by striking IN general and inserting termination of authority to make subsidized loans to graduate and professional students. 2. In the matter preceding clause I by striking beginning on or after July 1st, 2012 foot. 3. In clause I by striking the grad. You can inserting beginning on or after 3rd July 1st, 2012 a graduate and 4. In clause 2 by striking the maximum annual amount of federal and inserting beginning on or after July 1st, 2012 and ending June 30th, 2026 the max annual amount of federal and C. In subparagraph B. 1 in the heading by striking EX section and inserting exception 4 subsidized loans to individuals and rolled in certain coursework. 2. By striking subparagraph A and inserting for any period of instruct time beginning on or after July 1st, 2012 and ending June 30th, 2026 subparagraph A. B. Interim rules for enrolled borrowers. Section 455A of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1087A is amended by adding at the end the following. 4. Interim exception for certain stu. Application of prior limits. Subparagraphs C, D, and E of paragraph
3 and paragraphs 5 and 6 shall not apply during the expected time to credential. Described in subparagraph B with respect to an individual who, as of June 30th, 2026, I, is enrolled in a program of study at an institution of higher education and
Receive loans.
2, has received a loan or on whose behalf a loan was made under this part. For such program of study, B, expected time to credential dot. For purposes of this paragraph, the expected time to credential of an individual shall be equal to the lesser of 2026, I, 3 academic years, or 2, the period determined by calculating the difference between I, the program length as defined in section 420W for the program of study in which the individual is enrolled, and 2, the period of such program of study that such individual has completed as of the date of the determina. Time under this subparagraph. See, loan limits for unsubsidized loans and certain federal direct plus loans dot. 1, annual and aggregate unsubsidized.
Okay, I still don't know the difference between federally subsidized and federally unsubsidized loans. And I still don't remember. But placing limits on this will limit people's access to secondary education, a post-secondary education.
Loan limits dot. Section 455A of the Higher Edu. Cal Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1080-70A is further amended by adding at the end the following. 5, annual and aggregate unsubsidized loan limits dot. A, undergraduate students dot. I, annual loan limits dot, notwithstanding any provision of this part or part. B, subject to subparagraph C and except as provided in paragraph 4 beginning on 16th July 1st, 2026, the maximum annual amount of federal direct unsubsidized Stafford loans that an undergraduate student may borrow in any academic year as defined in section 481A2 or its equivalent. Length shall be the difference between I, the amount of the median cost of college of the program of study in which the student is enrolled, and 2, the amount of the federal Pell Grant under section 401 awarded to the student for such academic year.
So, for every Pell Grant you access, that is less of a federal loan you can take out. To some degree, that's kind of reasonable because the Pell Grants are straight money going to you.
Section 401 awarded to the student for such academic year. 2, aggregate limits dot, notwithstanding any provision of this part or part. B, except as provided in paragraph 4B. Beginning on July 1st, 2026, the maximum AG. Graded amount of federal direct unsubsidized Stafford loans that a student may borrow for programs of study that award an undergraduate credential upon completion of such a program shall be $50,000. B, graduate and professional student. I, annual limits dot, notwithstanding any provision of this part or part. B, subject to subparagraph C and except as provided in paragraph 4 beginning on 19th July 1st, 2026, the maximum annual amount of federal direct unsubsidized Stafford loans that a graduate student or professional student may borrow in any academic year as defined in section 481A2 or its equivalent shall be the amount of the median cost of college of the program of study in which the student is enrolled. 2, aggregate limits dot, notwithstanding any provision of this part or part. B,
So, I mean, and then, okay, so here's a perspective I'm seeing. There have been points and situations where your loans can come to you and you can apply them to housing, not just the cost of the actual program. Because you need housing when you're a transitional teenager. Like, in between living under your parents to now living at college and needing housing while you study, this is going to close that loop for some people, which is bad because they're going to lose housing. It's just making it harder to go to college. That's what this is doing.
except as provided in paragraph 4B. Beginning on July 1st,
I'm going to
2026,
slow it down
maximum AG.
again and go back to playing.
Aggregate amount of federal direct unsubsidized Stafford loans that, in addition to the maximum aggregate amount described in subparagraph A2, I, a graduate student, AA, who is not and has not been a professional student, 14th may borrow for programs of study described in subparagraph DI shall be $100,000 or BB, who is or has been a professional student, may borrow for programs of study described in subparagraph DI shall be an amount equal to 23 BB, the amount such 24 student borrowed for pro 25 grams of study described in 1 subclauses I and 2 of 2 subparagraph D2 and 3 2 a professional student 4 AA who is not and has 5
Good, I need stim packs bad.
not been a graduate student 6 may borrow for programs of 7 study described in subclauses I 8 and 2 of subparagraph D2 9 shall be $150,000 or 10 BB who is or has been a 11 Graduate student may borrow for 12. Programs of study described in 13. Subclauses
I don't have any
and 2
throwables,
of
do I?
sub.
No, I
14.
genuinely still don't have any.
Paragraph D2 shall be in 15.
Whoa, was that wind?
Amount equal to
Andrea, was that wind?
16. 17.
That was,
BB.
Oh, okay.
The amount such. 18. Student borrowed for pro. 19. Grams of study described in 20. Subparagraph DI.
son of a gun.
21. C. Less than full-time enroll. Meant in any case where a
That's not
student
enough.
is enrolled in a program of study of an institution of higher education on less than a full-time basis. During any academic year, the amount of a loan that student may borrow for an academic year, as defined in Section 481A2 or its equiva. Lent shall be reduced in direct proportion to the degree to which that student is not so enrolled. On a full-time basis, rounded to the nearest whole percentage point as provided in a SCED. Ule of reductions published by the Secretary. Computed for purposes of this paragraph. D. Definition. For purposes of this subsection. I. Graduate student. The term graduate student means a student enrolled in a program of study that awards a graduate credential other than a pro's sciential degree upon completion of the pro. Gram. 2. Professional student. The term professional student means a student enrolled in a program of study that I. awards a professional degree upon completion of the program, or 2. provides the training described in Part 141 of Title 14 Code
God, this hurts.
of Federal Regulations or any
Stim pack.
SUC
A bunch of potatoes.
Assessor Regulations.
More medics.
3. Undergraduate student. The term undergraduate student means a student enrolled in a program of study that awards an undergraduate credential
Oh my god, who's
upon
getting me now?
completion of the program. 2. Annual and aggregate federal direct plus loans limits for parent borrowers. Section 455A of the Higher Education Act of 1965. 20 U.S.C. 1087E-A is further amended by adding at the end the following. 6. Annual and aggregate federal rect plus loans limits for parent borrowers. A. Annual limits. Notwithstanding any
Holy
provision
cow,
of
I
this
am
part or
underleveled
Part
for all
B,
this.
subject to paragraph 3E and except as provided in paragraph 4 beginning on July 1st, 2026, the maximum annual amount of federal direct plus loans that a parent may
Oh,
borrow
leave me
on
alone.
half of a dependent student in any academic year as defined in Section 481A2 or its equivalent shall be the amount equal to I. The cost of attendance of the program of study of such student minus
Oh god, I didn't.
2.
I need to
The
stop using
maximum
medics. I'm pretty
annual
sure it's
amount
addictive
of
in this game.
federal direct
stop
unsubsidized
that.
Stafford loans such student may borrow in such academic year. B. Aggregate limits. Not with standing any provision of this part or Part B, subject to paragraph 3E and except as Read in paragraph 4, beginning on July 1st, 2026, the maximum aggregate amount of Fed. Errol Direct Plus loans
All
that
right.
a parent may bore. Row shall be $50,000 without regard to the number of dependent students on behalf of whom such parent borrows such a loan. 3. Lifetime maximum aggregate amount. For all students. Section 455A of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1087E A.
Why can't I
is
grab
heard.
this? Whatever.
They're amended by adding at the end the following. 7. Lifetime
Oh
maximum
my god.
aggregate
How am I
amount.
ever going to get through this?
For all students. Notwithstanding any provi. Shall of this part or part B, except as provided in paragraph 4, beginning on July 1st, 2026, the max. I'm an aggregate amount of loans made, insured, or guaranteed under this title that a student may bore. Row, and that a parent may borrow on behalf of. Such student shall be $200,000 without regard to any amounts repaid, forgiven, canceled, or otherwise discharged on any such loan for institutionally determined limits. Section 455A of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1087E A is further amended by adding at the end the following. 8. Institutionally determined limits.
Okay, I got Nick Valentine. That took a while.
Notwithstanding the annual loan limits described in subparagraphs
Hello,
A,
Nicholas
I,
Valentine.
and B, I of paragraph 5 and subparagraph A of paragraph 6 beginning on July 1st, 2026, an institution of higher education at the discretion of a financial aid administrator at the institution may limit the total amount of loans made under this part for a program of study for an academic year as defined in section 481A2 that a student may borrow and that a parent may bore. Row
Why am
on
I walking
behalf of
slowly?
such student
What happened to
as
me?
long as any such limit is applied consistently to all students enrolled
Let me drink a
in
bunch
such
of water.
program of study.
Oh, I'm over encumbered finally. That
Subtitle
took
C,
forever.
Loan repayment. SEC 30,021. Loan repayment. At transition TO income-based repayment. Plans. 1. Authority to transition to income. Based repayment plans. F. Authority to carry out transi.
Okay.
Tie-in. Beginning on the date of enactment of
Secretary of Education shall
this
take
title, the
steps
Secretary of Education
as may be
shall
necessary.
take such steps as may be necessary to
So I did this a while ago. Oh, let me see. Some time ago, a couple of days ago, I'm subscribed to the Federal Department of Education's official YouTube channel. I don't know how that happened. I just thought it would be interesting to keep up with their politics as a teacher and former student. And the Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, the heiress to the WWE World Wrestling something, I don't know, the one who's married to the famous wrestling guy, she put out a little video where she's just like, the American people will not foot the bill for other people's educations. She did not have that accent, but I just think it's funny. She's like, the American people will not foot the bill for other people's educations. And I thought it was so insane to hear that rhetoric when, like, this document has $150 billion of increased military spending. If you put whether or not to spend more money on war to a vote, a direct democracy vote for the American people, it would just lose. It would just lose every fucking time. It would lose and lose and lose and lose. 9 times out of 10, it would fucking lose because no one thinks we should be edging another war where we get our people killed and where we waste money on that kind of shit that we could put into anything else. So, seeing it say, like, the Secretary of Education will take any steps as may be necessary to make sure that people begin paying back their loans so the government doesn't pay for them, is so insane. Because $150 billion to war and murder and wastes of money straight to technology and weapons, and fuck you, we're not covering any of your loans. Like, what? I'm going to start reading manually for a second in my own head. 2-day period, enactment, application, period, issue an interim final rule as necessary to implement the income-based repayment assistance program. It's what's, you know, something that's so batshit crazy too is that, like, the whole Trump administration is like, oh, you know, we're not, we hate Biden, Biden's evil, we're not Biden. Biden had an income-based repayment plan. the exact same type as this one. It was just more lenient on people is what I'm imagining, but we'll see if there are any particular details on the income-based repayment plan. I imagine they're going to leave that to the Secretary of Education, and they're going to hash that out specifically later. But it's just all such bullshit. Biden also had an income-driven repayment assistance program. There's no difference. I'm getting a snack. Not sure what, though. Oh god. Alright, that was chaotic. I'm gonna leave a bunch of food right here. So that way I can eat it. Oh look, a fork. That's a knife. That's a fork. Good enough. Alright, I'm just gonna read and snack for a bit. I'll turn off my mic while I snack. And just focus on reading while I snack. So, microphone off now, back to reading.
Enactment of this title, issue an interim. Final rule as necessary to implement the income-based repayment assistance program. Program.
Under Section 455Q of such Act of 1965 as added by this title. 3. Waiver of negotiated rulemaking. Any guidance or regulations issued or modified in accordance with subparagraph A or B of paragraph 2 shall not be subject to negotiated rule making requirements under Section 492 of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1098A. B. Repayment plans. Section 455B of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1087B is amended. 1. In paragraph 1. A. In the matter preceding subparagraph A. By inserting before July 1st, 2026, who has not received a loan made under this part on or after July 1st, 2026, after made under this part. B. By amending subparagraph D. 2. Read as follows. D. Beginning on July 1st, 2026, the income-based repayment assistance plan under subsection Q, provided that I. The borrower is required to pay each outstanding loan of the borrower made under this part under such repay. 2. Such plan shall not be available to borrowers with an accepted loan as defined in paragraph 7 and 3. The borrower may not change the borrower's selection of the repayment assistance plan except in accordance with paragraph 7 C. And C. In subparagraph E. 1. By striking that enables borrowers who have a partial financial hardship to make a lower monthly payment, and 2. By striking a federal direct consolidation loan if the proceeds of such loan were used to discharge the liability on such federal direct plus loan or a loan under Section 428 be made on behalf of a dependent student and inserting an X such consolidation loan as defined in Section 493C A 2. 2. In paragraph 5 by amending subparagraph B to read as follows. B. Repay the loan pursuant to an income-based repayment plan under subsection Q or Section 493C as applicable, and 3. By adding at the end the following. 6. Termination and limitation of repayment authority. Sunset of repayment plans available before July 1st, 2026. Paragraphs 1 through 4 of this subsection shall only apply to loans made under this part before July 1, 2026. B. Prohibitions. The Secretary may not, for any loan made under this part on or after July 1st, 2026, I authorize the borrower of such a loan to repay such loan pursuant to a repayment plan that is not described in paragraph 7A or 2. Carry out or modify a repayment plan that is not described in such paragraph 7. Repayment plans for loans made on or after July 1st, 2026. A. Design and selection. Beginning on July 1st, 2026, the Secretary shall offer a borrower of a loan made under this part on or After such date, including such a borrower who also has a loan made under this part before such date, 2 plans for repayment of
Okay, I'm not sure I understand it exactly, but the Secretary may not, for any loan made under this part on or after July 1st, 2026, the Secretary may not authorize a borrower of such a loan to repay such loan pursuant to a repayment plan that is not described in this paragraph. So if you take out a loan within that time period, you have to pay it back to the standards of this plan and nothing else. Nothing can change. Jesus Christ. So nothing can get better. Not like, oh my God. All right, and then this paragraph looks like it actually describes how the structure of the loan works.
cycle and interest on such loans. The borrower shall be entitled to accelerate without penalty repayment on such loans. The borrower may choose I, a standard repayment plan. I, with a fixed monthly repay. Mint amount paid over a fixed period of time equal to the applicable period. Determined under subclause 2 and 2 with the applicable period of time for repayment determined based on the total outstanding print. Cycle of all loans of the borrower made under this part before, on, or after 10th July 1st, 2026 at the time of the borrower. Borrower is entering repayment under such plan as follows. AA for a borrower with total outstanding principal of less than $25,000, a period of 10 years. BB for a borrower with total outstanding principal of not less than $25,000 and less than $50,000, a period of 15 years. CC for a borrower with total outstanding principal of not less than $50,000 and less than $100,000, a period.
Wait. Okay, so with a fixed monthly repayment plan, 2 with the applicable period of time for repayment determined based on the total outstanding principal of the loan. So if it's 25,000, you get 10 years. If it's less than 50, you get 15 years. If it's less than 100, you get 20 years to pay it off. 25 years if it's over $100,000. Jesus Christ. See, this is a whole different other conversation. Like I said, like it's all just fucked. Everything involving how post-secondary education is funded in the United States is utter garbage. But it's insane that we have right-wing go fuck yourself bootstraps pulling up the ladder policy. We also just have an education funding mechanism that is terrible. where the universities get to constantly race to the top and how much they charge for tuition. And then kids get subsidized loans that they don't understand. And then those loans are increasingly they're escalating. They're ratcheting higher and higher as the universities realize that they can pull more and more money from these kids because these kids are empowered by government loans. And like, pause for a second. That lends itself to a sort of pro-capitalist argument, an argument of like, well, if the government just stops giving out loans, then no one will be able to afford education, and then the universities will have to drop their prices. The issue with that is that there would be a 20-year generation of people where no one is college educated except for the wealthiest and most elite people. That could lead to actual societal collapse. It would be terrible. Like, the country will not survive. The United States, like, the min-maxing is that the United States is a place for fewer industrial and fewer agricultural jobs because something economics. Either way, we have a lot of educated people, so we have a lot of jobs that on a global scale need to be done by educated people. If you go the full anarcho-capitalist route where it's just like the government should never give out loans for education, you're going to have a generation of people who can't find jobs, terrible unemployment, and our country's going to lose a bunch of the things that have kept it where it is for the time being. I agree. I think more people should be going to the trades. I think we should subsidize the trades greatly. In fact, I think in a surprisingly weird turn of isolationism, I think no city and no state should ever have a material or use a material that is not generated locally. I think everything should be more decentralized and more done locally. And I mean, that would be my solar punk world. It's like, you know, there are some states where like certain types of food and certain materials are just less common because you can't make it often where you live. And frankly, I think it's better to adapt your quality of life to your local needs than it is to rely on a giant complicated structure of economics. But like, that's an entire different thing, honestly, at that point. So don't let it be said that I'm arguing in agreement with the market-based principles of capitalism, saying, oh, well, if we just didn't give out federal loans, then the market, whatever. No, you should subsidize public education because society is good, and you want to take care of society, and you want highly educated people, and so tax dollars should go to that. Instead of war, they should go to educating your people and getting them smart as fuck so they can solve problems in unique ways and use resources more efficiently and improve how we govern or whatever. Like, that's just the most common sense answer, is to do what you did with high school with college. Holy shit. It's just like the answer's right in front of you. It's just, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, what is the underlying principle of someone who's writing this bill and saying, fuck you, we want to make it harder to access public education? It's just the philosophy of saving government money. Why the fuck do you give a shit about saving the government money? They already waste your tax dollars. You're not, like, are you worried about the misappropriation of your tax dollars? Or are you just worried about the concept of overspending itself because that's just a principle to you? If you really care about the misappropriation of dollars, then why are you putting $150 billion into our military when kids are completely strapped by debt? And if you really are capitalist, why are you okay with having an entire middle class strapped by debt? That will bring about collapse. I don't know. They're just fucking idiots. I don't know what you say to this.
Repayment assistance plan. Under subparagraph A2, provided that the borrower is required to pay each outstanding loan of the borrower made under this part, under such selected repayment plan. B. Permissible changes of repay. I. Changing from standard RE. Payment plan. A. Borrower may change the borrower's selection of the standard RE payment plan under subparagraph A. I. Or the secretary's selection of such plan for the borrower under subparagraph C, as the case may be, to the repayment as assistance plan under subparagraph A2 at any time. 2. Limited change from repay. Mid assistance plan. A. Borrower 14th may not change the borrower's selection of the repayment assistance plan under sub paragraph A2 except in accordance with subparagraph C. E. Special rule for accepted loan. Borrowers with loans made on or after 20th July 1st, 2026. I. Standard repayment plan RE. Required. Notwithstanding subparagraphs A through D, beginning on July 1st, 2026, the secretary shall require a borrower who has an accepted loan and who has received a loan made under this part, on or after such date to repay each outstanding loan of the borrower made under this part, including principal and interest, on such loans under the standard repay. Mid plan under subparagraph A. I. The borrower shall be entitled to accelerate without penalty repayment on such loans. 2. Accepted loan defined. For the purposes of this paragraph, the term accepted loan means a loan with an outstanding balance that is I. A federal direct plus loan that is made on behalf of a dependent student or high loan if the proceeds of such loan were used to discharge the liability on.
Oh, I left my mic on. I'm sorry.
Loan as defined in section 493C A1 or DB, an accepted consolida. Tie loan as such term is defined in section 493C A2A not. Withstanding subparagraph B of such section. F. Treatment of borrowers with out loans made on or after July 1st, 2026. A borrower who has an outstanding loan in, including an accepted loan made under this part, before July 1st, 2026, and who has not received a loan made under this part on or after July 1, 2026, shall not be eligible to change the borrower's selection of a repayment plan today. Standard repayment plan under subparagraph A. I. Dot. C. Elimination of authority to provide IN. Come contingent repayment plans. Dot. 1. Repeal that subsection E of section 455. The Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1087 E is repealed. 2. Further amendments to eliminate in. Come contingent repayment. Dot. At section 428 of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1078 is amended. 1. In subsection B. 1. D. By striking be subject to income contingent repay. Amended in accordance with subsection M. And inserting be subject to income based repayment in accordance with subsection M and 2. In subsection M. 1. In the subsection heading by striking income contingent and 2. By amending paragraph 1 to read as follows. 1. Authority of secretary to require. The secretary may require borrowers who have defaulted on loans made under this part that are assigned to the secretary under subsection C. 8 to repay those loans pursuant to an income based repayment plan under section 455 Q or CC.
Whoa. So if you actually fully default on your loans, like you are inches from being fucking homeless because you cannot pay off your student loans, they're giving the Secretary of Education the authority to just force you to pay for it according to one of their income-based plans. What? You can't declare bankruptcy on education loans. So you're just... What? They're going to force people who have defaulted. They're going to force them. They're going to do what the Republicans want, which is force them to pay for it so the government doesn't have to. We're not going to cover your debt. This is going to put people on the streets. This is just actually going to put people, like, there's no... You've defaulted on your loans. I mean, you literally cannot come up with the money to pay for it. And they're just going to force you to according to your income. Even if it's a low amount, they're still going to be asking for... You already have too little, and they're going to be asking for more. Not asking, they're going to be demanding for more. Require borrowers. That means penalties. Penalties, on penalties on top of penalties. A worsened debt cycle. United States, the middle class in the United States already has a terrible debt issue.
And 3 in the heading of paragraph. 2 by striking income contingent. Or B, section 428C of the Higher Education. 19 Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1078-3 is amended. 1 in subsection A, 3, B, I, V, A, by striking for the purposes of obtaining income contingent repayment or income-based repayment and inserting for the purposes of qualifying for an income-based repayment plan under section 455Q or section 493C as applicable. 2 in subsection B, 5 by striking. Be repaid either pursuant to income contingent repayment under Part D of this title pursuant to income-based repayment under section 493C or pursuant to any other repayment provision under this SEC. Tie-in and inserting be repaid pursuant to an income-based repayment plan under section 493C or any other repayment provision under this section. And 3 in subsection C, 1 in paragraph 2A by strict ing or by the terms of repayment pursuant to income contingent repay meant offered by the Secretary under subsection B, 5 and inserting or by the terms of repayment pursuant to an income-based repayment plan under section 493C and 2 in paragraph 3B by striking except as required by the terms of repayment pursuant to an income contingent repayment offered by the Secretary under subsection B, 5 and inserting except as required by the terms of repayment pursuant to an income-based repayment plan under section 493C. See section 485 D1 of the Higher Edu. 7 Cal Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1092 D1 is amended by striking income contingent and D, section 494 A2 of the Higher Edu. Cal Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1098 H A2 is amended. 1 in the paragraph heading by strict ing income contingent and income based and inserting income based. 2 in subparagraph A. 1 in the matter preceding clause. 1 by striking income contingent or and 2 in clause 2I by inserting as in effect on the day before the date of repeal of subsection E of SEC. Time 455 after section 455 E8. D. Repayment assistance plan. Section 455 of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1087 is amended by adding at the end the following new sub section. Q. Repayment assistance plan. 1 in general. Notwithstanding any other provision of this act, beginning on July 1st, 2026, the Secretary shall carry out an income-based repayment plan to be known as the repayment assistance plan that shall have the following terms and conditions. A. The total monthly repayment amount owed by a borrower for all of the loans of the borrower that are repaid pursuant to the repayment assistance plan shall be equal to the applicable monthly payment of the borrower calculated under paragraph 3B, except that the borrower may not be precluded from repaying an amount that exceeds such amount for any month. B. The Secretary shall apply the borrower's applicable monthly payment under this paragraph first toward interest due on each such loan, next toward any fees due on each loan, and then toward the principal of each loan. C. Any principal due and not paid under subparagraph B or paragraph 2B shall be deferred. D. A borrower who is not in a period of deferment or forbearance shall make an apply cable monthly payment for each month until the earlier of I. The date on which the outstanding balance of principal and interest due on all of the loans of the borrower that are paid pursuant to the repayment assist and plan is $0 or 2. The date on which the borrower has made 360 qualifying monthly payments. E. The Secretary shall repay or cancel any outstanding balance of principal and interest as due on a loan made under this part 2A. Borrower I. Who, for any period of time, participated in the repayment assistance plan under this subsection. 2. Whose most recent payment for such loan prior to the loan cancellation under this subparagraph was made under such repayment assistance plan. And 3. Who has made 360 qualifying monthly payments on such loan. F. For the purposes of this subsection, the term qualifying.
I find it very tempting to keep just focusing on reading, but I'm going to go back to playing because I feel like I need to kind of balance both those things.
Monthly payment means any of the following. I. An
Okay.
on-time applicable monthly payment under this subsection. 2. An on-time monthly payment under the standard repayment plan under subsection D 7A I of not less than the monthly payment required under such plan. 3. A monthly payment under any repayment plan of not less than the monthly payment that would be required under a standard repayment plan under section 455 D1A with a repayment period of 10 years. 4. A monthly payment under
Here's my last
SEC.
potatoes.
Tie-in 493C of not less than the monthly payment required under such section including a monthly payment equal to the minimum payment amount permitted under such section. V. A monthly payment made before the date of enactment of this subsection under an income contingent repayment plan carried out under section for
Man, this screen tearing
55
is awful.
D1D or under an alternative repayment plan in lieu of repayment under such an income contingent repayment plan if placed in such an alternative repayment plan by the Secretary of not less than the monthly payment required under such plan, including a monthly payment equal to the minimum payment amount permit under such a plan. 6. A month when the borrower did not make a payment because the borrower was in deferment due to an economic hard Ship described in section 435.0. 7. A month that ended before
Carrying
the
too much again. God dang it.
date of enactment of this subsection when the borrower did not make
I'm
a
probably
payment
carrying like
fee
20 submachine guns. Yeah, I
because the
am.
borrower was
That
in a
sucks.
period. Deferment or forbearance described in SEC. Tie-in
Yeah, now I'm good.
685.209 K4 of Title 34
There we go.
Code of
More of the good stuff.
Federal Regulations as in effect on the date of enactment of this subsection. G. With respect to carrying out section. For 94A2 for the repayment assistance plan, an individual may elect to opt out of the disclo. Sures required under section 494A2A2 in accordance with the procedures established under section 493C C2B. 2. Balance assistance for distressed borrowers.
No,
And
stop
interest
it.
subsidy. With respect to a borrower of a loan made under this part. 4. Each month for which such a borrower makes an on-time applicable monthly payment required under paragraph 1A and such monthly payment is insufficient to pay the total amount of interest that accrues for the month on all loans of the borrower repaid pursuant to the repayment assistance plan under this sub section.
I'm starting
The
to finally
amount
run
of
out of
interest
material.
accrued and not paid for the month shall not be charged to the borrower. B. Matching principal payment.
You got any water fountains
With
nearby that I
respect
could
to a
use?
borrower of a loan made under this part and not in a period of deferment or
Corn.
forbearance for each month. 4.
I don't know if I'm gonna make it.
Which a borrower makes an on-time applicable monthly payment required under paragraph 1A, and such monthly payment reduces the total outstanding principal balance of all loans of the borrower repaid pursuant to the repay meant assistance plan under this subsection by less than $50, the Secretary shall reduce such total outstanding principal balance of the borrower by an amount that is equal to
Oh,
the
Vault-Tec
amount
lab
that is
coat,
the
that's
lesser
classy.
of 12 $50 or 2 the total amount paid by the borrower for such month pursuant to paragraph 1.
Alright, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try just charisma my way through this entire issue.
Amount paid by the borrower for such month pursuant to paragraph 1A that is applied to such total outstanding principal balance. 3. Definitions. In this paragraph, A. Adjusted gross income. The term adjusted gross income, when used with respect to a borrower, means the adjusted gross income, as such term is defined in Section 62 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 of the borrower and the borrower's spouse as apply cable for the most recent taxable year, except that, in the case of a married borrower who files a separate federal income tax return, the term does not include the adjusted gross
Yeah,
income
that worked.
of the borrower's spouse. B. Applicable monthly payment.
Copy that word.
I. In general. Except as pro. V'd in clause 2 or 3, the term apply. Cable monthly payment means, when used with respect to a borrower, the amount equal to I. The applicable base payment of the borrower divided by 12 minus 2. $50 for each dependent child of the borrower. 2. Minimum amount. In the case of a borrower with an applicable monthly payment amount calculated under
Sick.
clause 1 that is less than $10, the applicable monthly payment of the borrower shall be $10. 3. Final payment. In the case of a
I'm
borrower
gonna pop a
whose total
Nuka-Cola Quantum
outstanding
and see what that does for me.
ants of principal and interest on all of the
Bro, why are you in the way? I'm trying to
loans of the
defeat Skinny
borrower
Malone
that
right
are
now.
repaid per. Pursuant to the repayment assistance plan is less than the applicable monthly payment.
What? That didn't even give me anything
Calculated
particularly
pursuant
valuable.
to clause
What was
I
that? What was the
or
point of that?
2 as
I just wasted a quantum.
applicable, then the applicable monthly. Payment of the borrower shall be the total. Outstanding balance of principal and inter. Est on all such loans. 4. Base payment. The amount of the applicable base payment for a borrower with an adjusted gross income of
AGI?
I, not more than $10,000 is $13,120. 2. More than $10,000 and not more than $20,000 is 1% of such adjusted gross income. 3. More than $20,000 and not more than $30,000 is 2% of such adjusted gross income. 4. More than $30,000 and not more than $40,000 is 3% of such adjusted gross income. V. More than $40,000 and not more than $50,000 is 4% of such adjusted gross income. 6. More than $50,000 and not more than $60,000 is 5% of such adjusted gross income. 7. More than $60,000 and not more than $70,000 is 6% of such adjusted gross income. 8. More than $70,000 and not more than $80,000 is 7% of such adjusted gross income. 9. More than $80,000 and not more than $90,000 is 8% of such adjusted gross income. X.
Okay.
More than $90,000 and not more than $100,000 is 9% of such adjusted gross income. And 16,
I leveled up, right?
11. More than $100,000 is 10%
Should realistically.
of such adjusted gross in.
Come.
V. Dependent child of the
Ooh,
BOR.
what should I do?
Row or dot for the purposes of this graph. The term dependent child
Already
of the
maxed out charisma. Wow, that's crazy.
borrower means an individual who
Can't remember which one gives
I
me more of
is
that.
under 17 years of age. And 2 is the borrower's dependent child or another person who lives with and receives more than one half of their
Yes,
support
more
from
action
the borrower.
points.
E. Federal Consolidation Loans. Section. For
I need to
55
find
G
the
of the
solar
Higher
powered
Education
ability.
Act of
I'm not sure how that's going to
1965,
work.
20
But
U.S.C. 1087E G is amended by adding at the end the following.
solar powered,
New
I
paragraph.
need 10 endurance.
3. Consolidation loans made on or after July 1st, 2026. Notwithstanding subsections B, 5, C,
Okay, I need to
2,
put a bunch of
and
points
C,
into endurance
3,
moving
A,
forward.
and B of section. For 28C, a federal direct consolidation loan offered to a borrower under this part on or after July 1st, 2026 may only be repaid pursuant to a repayment plan described in subsection D, 7A, I, or 2 of this section as applicable, and the repayment schedule of such a consolidation loan shall be determined in accordance with such repayment plan.
Uh-oh.
F. Income-based repayment. 1. Amendments. A. Accepted consolidation loan. D.
Whoa.
Find. Section 493C A 2 of the higher
God, I need to figure out how to deal with this
Education
frame
Act of
limit situation.
1965, 20 U.S.C. 109080 A 2 is amended to read as follows. 2. Accepted consolidation loan. A. In general. The term accepted consolidation loan means I. A consolidation loan under section 428C, or a federal direct consolidation loan if the proceeds of such loan were used to discharge the liability on an X.
Wow. Okay,
Sept
I'm gonna
plus
save the
loan,
game.
or
I'm gonna
2.
fully
A
save the game real
consolidation
quick.
loan under SEC.
And then
Tie-in
I'm gonna try to mess with my
428C,
settings and
or a
see if I
federal
can deal with
direct
this
consolida.
physics issue.
Tie-in loan if the proceeds of such
'Cause I'm
loan
not having fun
were used to discharge the
with it being
liability
this
on
messed
A.
up.
Consolidation loan under section 428C or A.
Let me see if
Federal
I can remember how
direct
to do this.
consolidation loan D. Scribed in clause I. B. Exclusion. The term accepted. Consolidation loan does not include a federal. Direct consolidation loan described in sub. Paragraph A. That, on the day before the date of enactment of this subparagraph, was being repaid pursuant to the income contingent
Uh-oh, what happened?
payment ICR plan in accordance with section
Oh no.
685.209
picture,
A
isn't it?
of Title 34 Code of Federal Regula. Tie-ins as in effect
There
on
we
June
go.
30th, 2023. B. Terms of income-based repay. Meant.
Whatever.
Section 493C B of the Higher Edu. Cat-Ion Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1090-80 B is amended. 1. By amending paragraph 1 to read as follows. 1. A borrower of any loan made, insured, or guaranteed under Part B or D, other than an X. Sept plus loan or accepted consolidation loan. 8th may elect to have the borrower's aggregate monthly payment for all such loans not exceed the result de. Scribed in subsection A 3B divided by 12.
Alright, let's try Fallout again.
2. In paragraph 3.
We'll see.
1. In
That does.
subparagraph B. AA in clause I. AA by striking sub. Clause 2 and BB by striking the borrower and all the fall. Lows through ends and in. Certing the borrower ends. And BB in
Right.
clause 2.
See what that does for us.
AA by striking sub. Clause 2. BB by striking the borrower and all the fall. Lows
Whoa, that
through
really
ends
messed with
and
my
in.
whole computer.
Certing the
I don't think it like
borrower
that. Oh, it
ends.
looks like I'm stuck at 60 FPS.
And
I finally got VSync to work like
CC
normal.
by striking or.
Hopefully it doesn't go crazy
at
moving
the
forward.
end.
Ugh.
3 by repeating
Hey, I'll take it.
paragraph
I will
6.
freaking take it. I don't care. I'm fine.
4
Yep.
in
Okay. Stuck at
paragraph
60.
7
Normal
B.
physics. Life is good.
1 in the matter preceding
Woo.
clause.
I depended on the
1
screen I
by
used. It depended on
striking
5
for a
other things.
period of
It was just
time.
overall a very
Prescribed by the
process to get that
secretary
to finally
not to X.
be normal.
Seed 25 years and inserting the fall. Lowing for 25 years in the
Yes.
case of
Normal 60 FPS.
a borrower who is repaying at least one loan for a program of study for which a graduate credential as defined in section 472A is awarded or for 20 years in the case of a borrower who is not repaying at least one such loan. 2. In clause I by inserting as such paragraph was in effect on the day before the date of the repeal of paragraph 6 after paragraph 6 and 3 in clause 4 by inserting as such section was in effect on the day before the date of the repeal of paragraph 6 after section 455 D1D and 5 in paragraph 8 by striking standard repayment plan and inserting standard repayment plan under section for 28 B
Okay, so now I need to go get the open a Caleb's thing.
D1A or the repayment assistance program under SEC.
No way I could pick this.
Tie-in 455 Q.
Nick.
C. Eligibility determinations.sec. Tie-in 493C, C2 of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 109080, C2 is further amend.
In.
1. In subparagraph A by inserting, as in effect on the day before the date of, repeal of subsection E of section 455. After section 455 E1 and 2. In subparagraph B by inserting, as in effect on the day before the date of, repeal of subsection E of section 455. After section 455 E8. D. Termination of special terms for new borrowers on and after July 1st. 2014 Section 493C of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 109080 E is further
What did I
amended by
just
striking
say?
subsection E. 2. Effective date and application. The amendments made by this subsection shall take EF effect on the date of enactment of this title and shall apply with respect to any borrower who is in repay. Meant before, on, or after the date of enactment of this title. SEC 30,022.
Wow, that's a
Deferment,
problem.
forbearance. Heading amendment. Section 455 F of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 108070 F is amended by striking the subsection heading and inserting the following: deferment, forbearance. B. Sunset of economic hardship and unemployment deferments. Section 455 F of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C.108070 F is amended. 1. In paragraph 2. A. In subparagraph B by striking not. In and inserting subject to paragraph 7 not. In and B. In subparagraph D by striking not. In and inserting subject to paragraph 7 not. In and 2 by adding at the end the following. 7. Sunset of unemployment and economic hardship deferments. A borrower who
So,
receives a loan made under this part on
or
or
after
after
shall not be eligible.
4th July 1st, 2025
You
shall not
can't-
be eligible to defer such loan. Under subparagraph B,
Moving forward, if your partner dies and your household is no longer dual income, if you get fired by a giant tech company that overhired during the pandemic, and you literally have no income, you're not allowed to defer your loans. Can't defer them. Looks like this: forbearance on loans made under this part or after July 1st, 2025. Forbearance made under this part: a borrower who receives a loan may only be eligible for forbearance to section that does not exceed 9 months during any 24-month period. So you're not allowed to forbear your loans nearly as long. Medical or dental internship residency program may be eligible for forbearance. So you can't defer them. They're making it harder to forbear them.
or D of paragraph 2.
Right.
C. Forbearance on loans made under this part on or after July 1st, 2025. Section 455 F of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 108070 F is amended by adding at the end the following. 8. Forbearance on loans made under this part on or after July 1st, 2025. A borrower who receives a loan made under this part on or after 13th July 1st, 2025. A. May only be eligible for a forbearance On such loan pursuant to Section 428C3B, that does not exceed 9 months during any 24-month period, and B, in the case of a borrower who is served, ing in a medical or dental internship or resi. Denkei program, as such program is described in Section 428C3A(I) may be eligible for a forbearance on such loan pursuant to 428C3A(I) during which I, for the first 4 12-month intervals, interest shall not accrue, and 2, for any subsequent 12-month interval, interest shall accrue. SEC 30,023. Loan rehabilitation. Updating loan rehabilitation limits. 1. Felon direct loans. Section 428F A5 of the Higher Education Act of
Wow,
1965.
that worked a little too easy.
20 U.S.C. 1078-6 A5
What if I just
is amended
steal
by
your stuff
striking
anyway?
1 time and inserting 2 times. 2. Perkins Loans. Section 464 H1D of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1087 DD H1D is amended by striking once and inserting twice. 3. Effective date. The amendments made by this subsection
Oh,
shall
I
take
can't buy a
effect
house,
on
huh?
the date of an
Interesting.
enactment of this act and shall apply
I
with
remember that I
respect
can buy
to
a house. I
any
remember
loan made,
buying one
insured,
and
or
not
guaranteed
using
under
it.
Title IV of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C.
I don't know why or how. I
3.
think it's
Minimum
because this
monthly
is
payment
written
amount.
in
SEC.
legalism,
Legalese.
legalese, the language of law. I'm struggling a lot more to pull out information while listening like this, whereas when I did this with Project 2025, I feel like I understood it a lot better.
And the following with respect to loan
This time I'm
made
struggling.
under Part D on or after July 1st, 2025, a monthly payment amount described in subparagraph A may not be less than $10. SEC 30,024.
Whoa, what did I
Public
just
Service Loan Forgiveness. Repayment Assistance Plan. Section
How do I get my light to
for
come up?
55 M1A of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20.
My tab button isn't
USC
working. It's not pulling up my
1087E
thing either.
M1A is amended. 1. In Clause 3 by striking
Two.
or
Well,
an
whatever.
insert. ING a semicolon.
Alright, then I need
2.
to go to
In
Good Neighbor.
Clause 4 by striking and an in. Inserting as
There's
in
a button
effect
under
on
here.
the day before the date of. The repeal of subsection E of this section or and. 3. By adding at the end the following new clause. V. On-time payments under the RE.
Hot plate. Meaning
Payment
they're expecting
assistance
stuff
plan
in here
under
to use
section
AC.
For 55 Q and B. Public
Corn.
Service Job.
He eats corn.
Section 455 M.
Cool. Love that for him.
B of the Higher Education Act of 1965.
There's a bunch of
20
gear in here if I
USC.
remember.
1087E M3B is amended. 1. By redesignating clauses I and 2 as sub. Clauses I and 2, respectively, and adjusting the margins
Thank you.
accordingly.
Looting. Couple of
2.
quantums.
By striking
Wonderful.
the term and inserting the following
Frag mines.
I
That makes
in
a big
general
difference for me.
the term and
Wow.
3.
4 fusion
by
cores?
adding
What the
at
hell?
the end the following. 2. Exclusion. The term public. Service job does not include time served in a medical or dental internship or residency. Program as such program is described in Section 428
I
C3
want to get
I
Swan's ability
by an
first.
individual who,
So,
as of June 30th,
I think I'm gonna spend $1
2025,
billion to
has
kill
not
Swan.
or wrote a federal
And then get the
direct
Furious
plus
Power
loan or
Fister.
a federal direct
and then modify
unsubsidized
the Furious
SAFR
Power Fister.
loan for a
Hey, dog
program
meat,
of
what's up?
study that awards
I really,
A graduate
frankly, didn't expect you to
credential
be here
upon
like that, but
completion of
I'm actually going to
such
go
program.
to Sanctuary first.
SEC 30,025. Student loan servicing.
We're almost at page 200,
Paragraph
almost a fifth of the
1
way done.
Section 458
We have the stream for
A
2
of
hours,
the Higher Edu.
so maybe we'll get like 40%
Cat-Eye
done by
Act
the end of the day today.
1965, 20 U.S.C. 1087H A1 is amended to read as follows. 1. Additional mandatory funds for FIS. Cal years 2025 and 2026 for each of the fiscal.
What's up, June Long?
Years 2025 and 2026 there shall be available to the Secretary in addition to any other amounts APRO created under any Appropriations Act for Administra.
Just wanted to trade a few.
Tithe
I
costs
actually
under this
do
part
not
in
want to
Part
trade a
B
few
and out
things.
of any.
Stop game.
Money in the Treasury not otherwise appropriated. Funds to be obligated for administrative costs under.
I should
This
repair
part
this
in
thing.
Part B, including the costs of the D.
Craft.
Rect student loan programs under this part, not to exceed $500 million in each such fiscal year. Subtitle D, Pell Grants. SEC 30,031.
I just want to repair everything.
Eligibility. A. Foreign income and federal Pell Grant. Eligibility dot. 1. Adjusted gross income defined dot.
There's a chance my
SEC.
character just happens to know how to
Tie-in
use a...
401 A2A of the Higher Education Act of 1965. 20
Yeah, what's the
USC
chance that my character just so happens to know how to use a
1078
frickin' thing?
A is amended to
Just got
read
my
as
friend Joe? Joe,
A,
what the
term
fuck?
adjusted gross income means I, in the case of a
I
dependent
read the
stew,
fucking sentence you sent first,
Dent
and I'm
for
just
the
like,
second
that kind of
tax
sounds
year
like Joe. And
preceding
then I saw your name.
academic year. I, the adjusted gross income.
This shit sucks. Reading this sucks,
as
dick. This is
defined
terrible.
in Section 62 of the Inter.
Straight
Male
garbage.
Revenue Code of 1986 of the
Not
STU.
enjoying it.
Dans es parents, plus.
2. The foreign income as da. Scribed in Section 480B5 of the student's parents and 2. In the case of an independent student for the second tax year preceding the academic year. I. The adjusted gross income as defined in Section 62 of the Inter. Male Revenue Code of 1986 of the STU. Dent and the student's spouse if AP.
Applicable, plus.
Which my build for this
2.
run,
The foreign income
stupid.
as da.
Let me see.
Scribed in Section 480.
I jumped straight into it without thinking.
Student.
Like,
and
I
the
mean, I
student's
thought, but I
spouse
didn't do any
if.
research. Because I have... Let me pause that real quick. I've only beaten Fallout 4 like 3 or 4 times, maybe. And I just remember Charisma being really useful, so I put everything into Charisma. And then I put a bunch into Strength, because I always end up using the Furious Power Fister. And I always think if you're going to do a Charisma build, it's funny to just put everything into fucking Luck, too. So, Luck, Charisma, Strength, and then that's it. And then I'm using the Idiot Savant perk to get more EXP more quickly. And then I think as I try to beat it, I'm going to put everything into Endurance and try to get that solar-powered trait to give me a couple of permanent gains to Strength and Endurance. And that'll just beat the game during the daytime, literally. So that's what I'm thinking right now. I think it's not that unique of an idea. It's not a real speedrun build, because I watched the world record speedrun after my first round, and they just put everything into Endurance and just make you physically run as fast as possible, if I remember. Yeah, run as long as possible. And they literally put nothing into anything else, because the speedrun is so refined after a decade that, like, there's not much strategy left. You just kind of put everything into Endurance and focus on glitches. I probably should have watched a glitchless speedrun, probably. Maybe I'll do that tonight and keep using this to inform how I do shit. But really, I'm just kind of fucking around. Speaking of which, what was I going to do next? Go to Diamond City. I'm going to go try to kill Swan next. Cliff Notes. Oh, yeah, Cliff Notes from the document so far. The first 100 pages are about subsidizing industrial farmers in about 100 different ways. Genuinely, like 100 different ways. Why does it say Happy Halloween? It's not Halloween in real life. I thought this game tries to sync up with real life. Whatever. The first 100 pages are 100 million ways to subsidize farmers. The following 50 pages are 150 billion. Someone else calculated that number, but at some point I took 5 pages and I calculated how many billions of dollars were spent in those 5 pages on military, and it was $11 billion in 5 pages, and there were about 50 pages of that. So, you know, well over $100 billion to military was the next 50 pages. And now we're finally into the stuff about defunding support for post-secondary education. I will buy you Skyrim when it's not on sale. I still never played Skyrim. It's a Bethesda game, right? It's the same as Fallout. This is the only Fallout game I've ever played. I started playing it when I was like a teenager because it came out in 2016 or something. And I was in high school and everyone was like talking about this game. And I was like, oh, I have a laptop. It was terrible. And it ran terrible. But the issue with games like these is like when I play them seriously, I just keep playing them forever. Like I don't stop. Because it's addictive. Like it's actually very fucking fun. And I'm so worried that when I finally start Skyrim, I'm just gonna not see sunlight for like a month. Because it does sound fun. Like, I've seen it, and it looks good, like, the 15 times it's been remastered. You know what? If any, I probably am finally at a point in life where I can play that game. Like, I'm stable enough. I have enough free time. I really could do it. So maybe I will. Probably be this year. But the other thing I'm dealing with is I'm working through a couple of video games just for the YouTube channel. An entire video game series. And I need to finish that game. I actually had to put it on pause to do this stream because it was too important to read this document ASAP. Okay, let's see. I want to get as many explosive items as I can. And I have about 1 million pieces of bad guy apparel on me for some reason. 9 fedoras, sure. Alright, what else I got? More Molotovs with which to kill Swan. Do you have any drugs to get rid of? I don't really pick them up that often. I still don't think this is going to be enough to kill Swan. I'm like 40 hours into the Oblivion remaster right now. Approaching being done with it. Being done with it? Like beating it or just like being bored of it? Is that the amount of content in the game is limited, so like you can only no life it for so long. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that the game actually like only had so much to it. I guess with a game that old, I should have expected that like, yeah, it's not going to have like the amount of time and content that goes into these modern ones. Same diff for me. Yeah, being done with the game versus being bored with it. Today's Halloween? What? It's Halloween in-game? What is going on? I didn't know the game does that. Alright, I fundamentally do not believe that I have enough things to kill Swan with. 70 of those. No, I'd need like 100 shotgun shells easily. So that's a slight issue. I think I need to just go do some stuff. Yeah, I'm just gonna go do side quests and kind of get a number of items up first. Speak of the devil. Miscellaneous, huh? Wanted poster, detective cases, public occurrence. I don't really want to do with the combat zone. I don't want to get any extra side characters to help me. In this run, at least. I don't know. I fundamentally don't believe I have enough items to kill Swan right now. I'd need like a fat man or something. I am just going to work on settlements then. I'm gonna do that for like an hour or something. And I need to go back to reading.
Applicable.
Ugh.
2. Sunset. Section 401(b)(1)(d) of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1070A B1D is amended by striking a student and inserting for each academic year beginning B. For July 1st, 2025, a student. 3. Conforming
Where is
amendment.
the gun
Section
workshop?
for 79A B1B of the Higher Education Act of 1965. 20 U.S.C. 1087 TT B1B is amended. A. By striking clause V and B. By redesignating clauses
I need gun
6
nut for that.
and 7 as clauses V and 6, respectively. B. Definition of full-time enrollment for Federal Pell Grant eligibility.
Alright, come on.
Section 401A2
I
of the
just need to
Higher
do some
Education
more.
Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C.
I guess I'll just sleep real quick.
1078A2 is further amended. 1. In subparagraph E by striking and after the
Bye, Joe.
semicolon. 2. In subparagraph F by striking the period and inserting and. 3. By adding at the end the following new sub. Paragraph G, notwithstanding section. For 81A2A3, the terms full-time and full
Where the hell
time,
is
except with
Hancock?
respect to subsection D4. When used as part of the term normal full-time. Workload, mean, with respect to a student N. Rolled in an undergraduate course of study, the student is expected to complete at least 30 SA. Semester or trimester hours or 45 quarter credit. Hours, or the clock hour equivalent.
Where the
in
hell
each
did I assign Hancock?
academic year a student is enrolled in the course of study.
What have I done?
C. Federal Pell Grant ineligibility due to a high student aid index. Section 401(b)(1) of the Higher Education Act of
There he is. What the
1965,
hell?
20 U.S.C. 1070A01 B1 is amended by adding at the end the following. F. Ineligibility of students with a high student aid index. Notwithstanding. Subparagraphs A through E, a student shall not be eligible for a federal Pell Grant under this subsection for an academic year in which the student has a student aid index that equals or exceeds twice the amount of the total max IMM federal Pell Grant for such academic year. D. No federal Pell Grant eligibility for students enrolled less than half-time. Section
Finch Farm.
401 of the Higher Education
Where the hell
Act
is
of
that?
1965, 20 U.S.C. 1070A is further amended. 1.
The
In
hell
subsection
is that so
B,
far away?
A. By striking. 2. Less and inserting. 2. A. Less and
Jesus, that's
B.
far away.
By inserting after subparagraph A as so designated by subparagraph A of this subsection the following new subparagraph. B. Less than half-time enrollment. Notwithstanding subparagraph A, a student who first receives a federal Pell Grant on or after July 1, 2025, shall not be eligible for an award under this
What's the game doing? Why is it going so slow?
subsection for any academic year beginning after such date in which the student is enrolled in an ELI GIBL program of an institution of higher education on less than a half-time basis. The Secretary shall update the schedule of reductions described in sub paragraph A in accordance with this subpara graph, including for students receiving the minimum federal Pell Grant. 2. In subsection C 6A by inserting and The eligibility
Oh, I'm about
requirement
to
of
die.
enrollment on at least a half-time basis under subsection B2 after B1 and 3 in subsection D5A by inserting and at least half-time in the case of a student who first receives a federal Pell Grant under subsection B on or after July 1st, 2025.
Bro, just
after
leave me
full
alone.
time. E. Effective date and application. The amendments made by this section shall take effect on July 1, 2025, and shall apply with respect to award year 2025,
Leave me alone.
2026, and each subsequent award year. SEC 30,032. Workforce Pell Grants. A. In general. Section 401 of the Higher Edu. Cat-Ion Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1070A, is amended by add ing at the end the following. K. Workforce Pell Grant Program. 1. In general. For the award
Holy
year
crap,
begin.
I have so many places I can hit
Ning
to.
on July 1st, 2026, and each subsequent award year, the Secretary shall award grants to be known
Oh, why
as
are you
workforce
stupid,
Pell
bro?
Grants
Are you
to
dumb?
eligible students. Under paragraph 2, in accordance with this sub section 2, eligible students. To be eligible to receive a workforce Pell Grant under this subsection. For any period of enrollment, a
Leave
student
me
shall
alone.
meet the eligibility requirements for a federal Pell Grant under this section, except that the student A. shall be enrolled or accepted for enrollment in an eligible program under section 481.
Oh my god,
B,
this is the
3,
shit made of
hereinafter
robots, isn't it?
referred to as an
Holy crap,
eligible
I remember this now.
workforce program, and B. may not I. be enrolled or accepted for enroll meant in a program of study that leads to a graduate credential or 2.
Yep,
have
it
attained
remembers
such
that I'm a
credential.
freaking veteran.
3. Terms and conditions of awards. The Secretary shall award workforce Pell Grants under this subsection in the same manner and with the same terms and conditions as the Secretary awards federal Pell Grants under this section X, except that A. Each use of the term eligible program, except in subsections B, 9A, and D2, shall be substituted
Alright.
by eligible work force program under section 481 B3 and B. A student who is eligible for a grant equal to less than the amount of the minimum federal Pell Grant because the
I don't remember
eligible
exactly.
work force
But I think
program
this-
in which the student is enrolled or accepted for enrollment is less than an ACA academic year in hours of instruction or weeks of duration may still be eligible for a workforce
How in
Pell
the
Grant
hell
in
am
an
I
amount
supposed to
that
get
is
up there?
prorated based on the length of the program. 4. Prevention of double benefits. No. Eligible
remember how to get
student
it
described in
anymore.
paragraph 2 may currently receive a grant under both this subsection A subsection B or B subsection C.
I don't think I should
5.
be doing this right now. I should
Duration
be
limit.
focusing on the
Any
quest at
period
hand.
of study covered by a workforce Pell Grant awarded under
I can always come back here later.
this subsection shall be included in determining a student's duration limit under subsection D5. B. Program eligibility for workforce Pell Grants. Section 481 B of the
Holy
Higher
cow, how
Education
far am
Act
I
of
walking?
1965, 20 U.S.C. 1088 B is amended. 1. By redesignating paragraphs 3 and 4 as paragraphs 4 and 5 respectively, and 2. By inserting after paragraph 2 the 3a. A program is an eligible program for PER. Poses of the Workforce Pell Grant Program under Section 401k only if I. It is a program of at least 150 clock hours of instruction, but less than 600 clock hours of instruction, or an equivalent number of credit hours, offered by an eligible institution during a minimum of 8 weeks, but less than 15 weeks. 2. It is not offered as a correspondence course, as defined in 600.2 of Title 34, Code of Fed. Aero Regulations, as in effect on September 20th, 2020. 3. The governor of a state, after consulta tie-in with the state board, determines that the program I provides an education aligned with the requirements of high skill, high wage, as identified by the state pursuant to Section 122 of the
Carl D.
Perkins Career and Technical Cat-Ion Act, 20 U.S.C. 2342, or in demand in industry sectors or occupations. 2. Meets the hiring requirements of potential employers in the sectors or occupations described in subclause I. 3. Either AA leads to a recognized post-sec Ondary credential that is stackable and portable across more than one employer, or BB, with respect to students enrolled in the program. AA prepares such students for employment in an occupation for which there is only one recognized post-secondary credential, and BB provides such students with such a credential upon tie-in of such program, and 4. Prepares students to pursue one or more certificate or degree programs at one or more institutions of higher education, which 16th may include the eligible institution providing the program, including by ensuring AA that a student, upon completion of the program and enrollment in such a related certificate or degree program, will receive academic credit for the workforce Pell program that will be
Accepted toward meeting such certificate or degree program requirements, and BB. The acceptability of such credit toward meeting such certificate or degree program requirements, and 4. After the governor of such state makes the determination that the program meets the requirements under clause 3, the secretary determines that I. The program has been offered by the eligible institution for not less than 1 year prior to the date on which the secretary makes a determination under this clause. 2. For each award year, the program has a verified completion rate of at least 70%, within 150% of the normal time for completion. 3. For each award year, the program has a verified job placement rate of at least 70%, measured 180 days after completion. And 4. For each award year, the median value-added earnings, as defined in section 420W, of students who completed such program for the most recent year for which data is available exceeds the median total price, as defined in section 454D3B. Charge to stew.
All right, chat. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. Be right back.
Hence, in such award year, 8 in this paragraph, I, the term eligible institution means an institution of higher education.
More
I'm
programs
an idiot,
of
and
study
my audio was
during
off
the
for that
same
second. That sucks.
award year.
Doesn't
each
matter, though.
qualifying
I've been
student
reading.
loan
Don't worry
of.
about it.
The student shall be
Just realized
included
it,
in
though.
the student cohort for each of such program of study. For such award year. 2. Treatment of certain consolidation loans. A federal direct consolidation loan made under this title shall not be considered a qualifying
Hit me with a quantum.
student loan for a student cohort for an award year if all of the loans included in such consolidation loan are attributable to another student cohort. 3. Consolidation after include shown in a student cohort. If a qualifying student loan is consolidated into a consolidation loan under this title after such qualifying student loan
I'm
has
safe.
been in
Temporarily. That guy has a
include in
flamer.
a student cohort the percentage of the consolidation loan that was
Oh, what just happened?
attributable to such student cohort at
Oh,
the
good.
time
That guy's dealing with that guy. Good stuff.
of consolidation shall remain attributable to the student
back to the
cohort for
shotgun.
the life of the consolidation loan. 3. Calculation of reimbursement. A reimbursement payment for Mula. For each student cohort of an institute tie-in of higher education established under this subsection, the annual reimbursement for such cohort shall be equal
Oh
to
my god. This game.
I. The reimbursement
Is not being
percentage
nice to me.
for the cohort determined in accordance with subparagraph B multiplied by 2. The non-repayment balance for
Get the hell
cohort
off
for
of
the
me.
award year
What the hell are these
determined
stupid super mutants
in
doing?
accordance with subparagraph C.
They're not what I am
B.
here for.
Reimbursement percentage. The reimbursement percentage of a student cohort
Idiot.
of an institution
off of me,
shall be
dude.
determined by the
Why the hell is the super
secretary
mutant
when
still
the
fighting me right
cohort
now?
is established shall remain constant for the life of the student cohort
Oh my god, dude.
and
fine,
shall be
fine.
determined
Perish.
as follows. I. Completing student CO HORTS. The reimbursement percentage of a completing
What's this
student
idiot with a flamer
cohort
doing?
shall be equal to the percentage determined by I. Subtracting
sucks.
from 1 the quotient of AA, the median value added earnings of students who completed such program of study in the most recent award year for which such earnings data is
Idiot.
available divided by BB, the median total price charged to students included in
It's hilarious looking.
such cohort.
Nope, nope, nope,
and
nope, nope. Not this again.
2.
Stop it.
Multiplying the difference determined under subclause I by 100. 2. Special circumstances for completing student cohorts. I. High-risk cohorts.
Oh my
not
gosh. You just make me waste my
withstanding
damn bullet.
clause I. If the median value-added earnings of a completing student cohort under clause IAA is negative, the reimbursement percentage of the student cohort shall be 100%. 2. Low-risk cohorts. Not withstanding clause I. If the median value-added earnings of a completing student cohort under clause IAA exceeds the median total price of such cohort under clause I.B.B. the reimbursement percentage of the
And I'm playing like I'm a lot stronger than I actually am.
cohort shall be 0%. 3. Non-completing student CO. HORTS. The reimbursement percentage of a non-completing student cohort shall be determined based on the most recent data available in the award year in which the cohort is established.
What do you mean no
and
sign of him now? I'm literally here.
I, for an undergraduate non-completing student cohort, shall be equal to the percentage of undergraduate students who received fed all financial assistance under this title at such institution who A. did not complete an undergraduate program of study
Because I need heal.
at the institution within 150% of the program length of
Instamash.
such
Delicious.
program, or BB only in the case
Yeah,
of
I am super cooked already.
2-year institution did not within 6 years after first enroll ING at the 2-year institution complete a program of study at a 4-year institution for which a bachelor's degree or substantially similar credential is awarded, and 2. For a graduate non-completing student cohort shall be equal to the percentage of students who received federal financial assistance under this title at the institution for the applicable graduate program of study and who did not complete such
Oh my god, that didn't do anything. You're
program
kidding
of
me.
study within 150% of the program length. C. Non-repayment loan balance. I. In general. For each award year, the secretary shall determine the
Oh, tell me what's going
non-repayment
on.
loan balance for such award year
What
for
is this
each
bull
student
crap?
cohort of an
Singular stem pack. Great.
institution of higher education by calculating the sum of I for loans in such cohort, the difference between the total amount of payments due from all borrowers on such loans during such year and the total amount of payments made by all such borrowers on such loans during such year, plus 2. The total amount of interest waived, paid, or otherwise not charged by the secretary during such year under the income-based repayment plan described in section 455 Q plus 3. The total amount of principal and interest forgiven, canceled, waived, discharged, repaid, or other wise reduced by the secretary under any act during such year that is not included in subclause 2 and was not discharged or forgiven under section 437A, 428J, or section 455M. 2. Special circumstances. 4. The purpose of calculating the non-repayment loan balance of student cohorts under this paragraph, the secretary shall I. For each qualifying student loan in a student cohort that is included in another student cohort B. 'cause the student who borrowed such
Well, god dang it.
loan completed
I don't
two
have
or
nearly
more
enough of the
programs
basic items that I need to do this well.
of study during the same award year.
So I'll just start running.
The sum of the amounts described in
Yee!
subclauses I through 3
Wow,
of
I already died.
clause
That hurt pretty bad.
1 for such qualifying
My
student loan
singular stim pack.
shall be
and
divided equally among each of
double
the
eggs, I
student
guess, whatever.
cohorts in which such
Not very
loan
much to me.
is included, and 2 for each consolidation loan. In a student cohort, AA, determine the percent age of the outstanding principal, balance of the consolidation loan attributable to such student
Hot.
AA at the time of that loan was included in such cohort in the case of A. Loan consolidated before inclusion in such cohort, or BB at the time of consolidation in the case of a loan consolidated after inclusion in such cohort, and BB include in the calcula. Tie-ins under clause I for such student cohort only the percent age of the sum of the amounts described in subclauses I through 3 of clause I for the consolidation loan for such year. That is equal to the percentage of the consolidation loan determined under item AA. D. Total price dot with respect to A. Student who received federal financial assist. Ants under this title and who completes a program of study. The term total price means the total amount before federal financial assist. Ants under this title was applied, a student was required to pay to complete the program of study. A student's total price shall be calculated by the secretary as the difference between I, the total amount of tuition paid, fees that were charged to such student B, for the application
No, it
of
didn't do
any
anything.
federal SIL assistance provided under this title.
Minos.
2. The total amount of grants and scholarships described in section 480
Get got.
I awarded to such student from non-federal sources for such program of study. For notification and remittance begin ning with the first award year for which reimburse ments are required under this subsection, and for each succeeding
crap.
award year the secretary shall notify each institution of higher edu cation of the amounts and due dates of each annual reimbursement calculated under para. Graph 3 for each student cohort of the institute. Tie-in within 30 days of calculating such amounts, and B. Require
do
the
anything.
institution to remit such payments within 90 days
How the heck
of
did I get to the
such
blast furnace without
notification.
dying?
5. Penalty for late payments. A 3-month delinquency. If an institution fails to remit to the secretary a reimbursement for a student cohort is required under this subsection within 90 days of receive ing notification from the secretary in accord ants with paragraph 4. The institution shall pay to the Secretary in addition to such reimbursement, interest on such reimbursement. Payment at a rate that is the average rate AP applicable to the loans in such student cohort. B. 12-month delinquency. If an institution fails to remit to the Secretary a reimbursement for a student cohort is required under this subsection plus interest owed in under subparagraph A within 12 months of receiving notification from the Secretary in AC.
There's not a single universe where I have the
Accordance
strength to
with
beat these guys.
paragraph 4, the institution shall be ineligible to make direct loans to any student enrolled in the program of study 4, which the institution
Oh, what was I
has
thinking? I had no
failed
chance
to
of
make
pulling
the
this off.
reimbursement payments until such payment is made. C. 18-month delinquency. If an institution fails to remit to the Secretary a reimbursement for a student cohort is required under this subsection plus interest owed under subparagraph A
Wow,
within
okay.
18
Instantly
months
died.
of
That sucked.
receiving notification from the Secretary
Might
in
generally have to
AC.
like just kind of reapproach this entire
Accordance with paragraph 4, the institution shall be ineligible to make direct loans or award federal Pell Grants under Section 401 to any student enrolled in the institution until such payment is made. D. 2-year delinquency. If an institution fails to remit
come on,
to
get
the
off me.
Secretary a reimbursement for a student
I
cohort
think I
is
just need to
required
go kill Swan. I think it's my only
under
option.
this subsection plus interest owed
Is to
under
go get a mini nuke somehow and kill Swan.
subparagraph A within 2 years of receiving notification from the Secretary in accordance with paragraph 4, the institution shall be eligible to participate in any program under this title for a period of not less than 10 years. 6. Relief for voluntary cessation of federal direct loans for a program of study. The Secretary shall, upon the request of an institution that voluntarily ceases to make federal direct loans to students enrolled in a specific program of study, reduce the amount of the annual reimbursement owed by the institution for each student cohort associated with such program by 50%. If the institution assures the Secretary that the institution will not make federal direct loans to any student enrolled in such program of study or any substantially similar program of study as determined by the Secretary for a period of not less than 10 award years, beginning with the first award year that begins after the date on which the Secretary reduces such reimbursement. 7. Reservation of funds for promise
Oh, it didn't save last time I came here. That sucks.
notwithstanding any other provision of law, the Secretary shall reserve the funds remitted to the Secretary as reimbursements in accordance with this subsection, and such funds shall be made available to the Secretary only for the purpose of awarding promise grants in accordance with Part 11 of Part A of this title. SEC 30,042. Campus-based aid programs. A. Promise grants. Part A of Title 4 of the Higher Education Act of 1965, 20 U.S.C. 1070 CTC, is amended by adding at the end the following. Subpart 11, promoting real opportunities to.
Oh, I accidentally clicked out of the game, didn't I? Oops.
Opportunities to maximize investments and savings in education. SEC 420S. Promise grants. For award year 2028 to 2029 and each succeeding. Award year from
I just
reserved
hit that guy
funds
through a dam.
remitted to the Secretary. In accordance with Section 454D and additional funds made available under Section 420V as necessary, the SEC. Readery
That
shall
worked.
award promise grants to eligible institute. Tie-ins to carry out the activities described in section. For 20 U.C. Promise grants awarded under this subpart
It wasn't even
shall
anything
be
valuable in
awarded
here.
on a non-competitive basis to each eligible institution that submits a satisfactory application under Section 420T for a 6-year period in an amount that is determined in accordance with Section 420U. SEC 420T. Eligible institutions application. A. Eligible institution. To be eligible for a promise grant under this subpart, an institution shall 1. Be an institution of higher education under Section 102, except that an institution
Who the hell is
described
still
in
shooting me from this distance?
Section 102, A1C shall not be an eligible institute. Tie-in under this subpart, and 2. Meet the maximum total price guarantee. Requirements under subsection C. B. Application. An eligible institution seeking a promise grant under this subpart, including a renewal of such a grant, shall submit to the Secretary an applica. Tie-in at such time as the Secretary may require, containing the information required under this subsection.
Oh, my legs.
Such a application shall 1. Demonstrate that the institution A. Meets the maximum total price score anti-requirements under subsection C, and B. Will continue to meet the maximum total price guarantee requirements for each award year during the grant period with respect
Uh-oh.
to students first enrolling at the institution for
Hey, Andrea? What are you downloading
such
right now?
award year. 2. Describe how grant funds awarded under this subpart